The Minnesota Wild versus Dallas Stars series preview. Let's get into it. Last time these two teams played in the playoffs was 2023. The Stars obviously winning. I think this time around the Wild definitely have a better chance. But when it's all said and done, I really think that this might be the best series in the whole playoffs. Between the talent, the atmosphere, and the arenas, both of them, it's going to be really fun to watch. Yeah, so we're going to go line by line, D pair by D pair. We'll touch on some injuries, X factors, and then after all that's done, I'll give my pick for who I think is going to move on. But without further ado, let's get into it. Yeah, so line one for the Wild, we have Kirill on the left, Hartman centering, and then Zook on the right. And then for the Stars, we have Rikowayan, Johnston, and Rantanen. Ton of talent on these top lines. Personally, I think Kirill's the best out of all of them. But I would say the more complete line is the Stars. Johnston's been on an absolute tear this year. He leads the league in power play goals. And Rantanen's Rantanen. Was out for a while after that injury in the Olympics, but without a doubt, he's going to be an absolute force in the playoffs. This line would be even better if they didn't have to move Jason Robertson down to the second line. But they had to since Rupe Hintz got injured. Hartman's had a good couple of weeks to his own right. Zook is very streaky. Him and Kirill have a great connection. But in no way do I think he's anyone who's going to flip the table. I don't know much about Rikowayan. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. But if he's sliding in for Hintz, that just goes to show you the type of confidence they probably have. So I'm sure he'll do just fine. But obviously having Hintz back is what they want. It's going to be great to watch these two top lines go back and forth, but I'm going to give the edge to Dallas. And then for line two, we have Marcus Johansson, centered by Joel Eriksson-Ek, and then Matt Boldy on the right side. For the Stars, we have Robertson, Matt Duchene, and then Maverick Bourque. Just like Zook, Johansson can be super streaky, but he's a solid defender and can give you some offense here and there. Eriksson-Ek's one of the most underrated centers in the league. I love his game. Net front on the power play, he's a force, so Stars are going to be looking out for him. And then Boldy's having a career year. He's got 42 goals, 85 points. And then for the Stars, Jason Robertson, obviously an X factor in this series. He also has 42 goals, but 7 more assists than Boldy for 92 points. Matt Duchene's getting up there in age, but he's still very solid. I'm sure he'll contribute a decent amount. I don't know much about Maverick Bourque. Probably just another plug and play for the Hintz injury. But he's got 35 points in 70-some games, so not a scrub by any means. Just comparing the two, I would definitely give the edge to the Wild. They're a shutdown line. They can defend any line in the league. And they will give you offense night in and night out. And then Robertson moving down to the second line to try to make up for Hintz's injury. They're asking a lot. I think he can carry the line, but the combination of Eriksson-Ek and Boldy really stirs the pot for me, so I'm going to give this to the Wild. And then third line, we have Tarasenko, centered by Yurov, and then Trennan on the right side. Then over here we have Adam Ern, Huru, and Ben. I had to look up how to say that because I had no idea who this guy was. Again, two plug-and-play guys. They're not bad. I just think the Wild's depth is really, really unmatched compared to the Stars. Tarasenko's having a great year, a complete resurgence. Yurov started great, has been very cold. I think he has like 4 points in his last 25 games. And then Trennan's out there to hit people, which is fine. Jamie Benn's always going to perform well in the playoffs, but he's really going to have to carry that line more than Robertson on the second. And just going back to the depth, I really think it's starting to show here. I don't really have much to explain other than that. I'm giving this one to the Wild. And then the fourth lines, we have the Foligno line, centered by McCarron. And then over here we have Cameron Hughes, centered by Oscar Back, and then Colin Blackwell. Two completely different lines. The Wild, big, going to punch you in the mouth, lumbering. Not going to give a lot of points, obviously, but you're going to know when they're on the ice. Head on a swivel. They're going to wear you down. And you can mix and match versus who they're lining up against. Wouldn't put them out there against Stars top line. But even second, third, or fourth, they're just going to wear them down, which is a really underrated part of the playoffs. And then the Stars, I mean, they're young, they're fast. Hughes got his first goal versus Minnesota yesterday. Blackwell's a really solid player. But I'm kind of leaning toward the Bruise crew over here with the Wild. That's kind of what a fourth line's supposed to do, right? They're supposed to come out there and hit people, maybe start a fight, get the crowd going. So for those reasons, I'm giving this to the Wild. So 3 out of 4 for the Wild. Stars have the better top line, but the depth for Minnesota really came through. And I think we're really going to see that as the series plays out. All right, now moving on to the D pairings. With the Wild, obviously you got Quinn Hughes and Brock Faber on the top line. Outstanding. One of my favorite D pairs in the league. Top 5. And then over here we have Thomas Harley and Tyler Myers. I love Harley's game, but he's really going to have to carry the weight now that Heiskanen left yesterday's game after a hit from Hartman. He's day-to-day, but he has an MRI scheduled for today, so we'll have more information on that later. Tyler Myers is not good. He has 11 points in 70-some games this year, and he's minus 24 on the year. And he's on the top pair right now, so don't really know what he brings. He clearly doesn't defend at a high level, and 11 points could be worse, but definitely could be better. But when you add Quinn Hughes into the mix, that puts the Wild to another level. But I think anyone would agree that the Wild are on the stronger side of that. And then for second D pairings for the Wild, we have Jonas Brodin and Jared Spurgeon. And then for the Stars, we have Issa Lindell and Ilya Lyubushkin. I love the second pairing for the Wild. Jonas Brodin is super underrated. I know I've been saying that a lot about their guys, but he truly is. Great defender. He moves pucks. Doesn't make a lot of bad plays. He'll flash here and there, but overall just a very solid defenseman. Then Spurgeon, captain of the team. He's a great leader. He's exactly what you want out of a second pairing defenseman. Make the right plays, won't turn it over, won't flash a whole lot, but you also won't notice him getting beat. And then for the Stars, I really like Lindell. He's got 30 points, and he's plus 29 in the year, so he's not getting scored on a whole lot. Then Lyubushkin, he doesn't do a whole lot for me. He has 8 points in 50 games. He's plus 2. The Stars, I really think that's more of a grind and grit. Will check you, but won't do a whole lot on the offensive side. Circling back to the Wild, they move pucks. Not the most offensive pairing, but definitely more so than Dallas' second pairing. And I think they defend better. Lyubushkin really tanks that for the Stars. So I'm giving this to the Wild. Would you look at that? 5 out of 6. These injuries are really hurting right now. Hey guys, sorry to stop the vid, but if you're enjoying, please hit that like and subscribe button. This is the greatest game in the world, and I'm trying to grow it. So anything you guys can do would be greatly appreciated. Yeah, let's get back to the vid. And then for the third pairings, we have Jake Middleton and Zach Bogosian. Then we have Liam Bichsel and Zach Capobianco. Middleton's plus 3 with 16 points, and then Bogosian's plus 8 with 6 points. Not a whole lot going on there. Kind of like Dallas' second pairing. They're bigger, not going to give you much, if anything, offensively, but they're pretty good on the defensive side, and they'll hit you. Then on the Stars side, Bichsel is plus 6 on the year with 8 points. And then Capobianco has an even plus-minus with 5 points in 32 games. He's obviously been the plug-and-play guy if Adi is out, like Heiskanen. Not a whole lot to differentiate between the two. They're both stay-at-home defenseman pairs. They're just going to do their job, you know. They get scored on more than the other pairings. But for third-pair defensemen, I think it's good enough. But honestly, I really can't pick one or the other. They both do the same thing without much flash at all. So I'm going to make this equal. Oh. It's really bad. There we go. Without this last pair, that's 5 out of 6 for the Wild. They are both 2-2 against each other this year, but I'm really looking forward to this. Some of these names might change, especially if these injuries get sorted out, but this is what it's going to look like for now. I forgot to mention, Bogosian is day-to-day, but nothing serious. He'll be back in there before the playoffs. But yeah, let's move on to the goalies. All right, now looking at the goalies, we have Philip Gustafsson and Jesper Wallstedt for the Wild. And then for the Stars, we have Jake Ottinger. Gustafsson on the year is 28, 14, and 6, 2.64 goals against with a 906 save percentage. Wallstedt is 17, 8, and 6 with 2.65 goals against, so just a tad more than Gus. And then .915 save percentage. And then Ottinger, 33, 12, and 6, 2.64, same as Gustafsson for goals against, and then an .898 save percentage. Statistically the worst of his career for save percentage, but he's still a beast. He'll be just fine in the series. What's really interesting right now is Wallstedt is playing better than Gus Bus. But in the Wild's eyes, I guess in my eyes too, he's still the #1 goalie. I don't think there's any chance Gus doesn't start game 1. But if he looks shaky like he has been these last couple of weeks, they have the best rookie goalie in the league to slide in, which is a great luxury. And then Ottinger, I do think out of all these three, he has the best chance of stealing a series. If he gets hot, it's scary. He's done it many times in the past. I think if he does get to that level, it doesn't really matter who they have in their lineup. They can win any night. But I really like the tandem the Wild have. They've been great all year. Wallstedt has really come into his own. This is tough. Going strictly by the numbers. Obviously, he's played more games. He's their de facto number one. He's won 5 more games than Gus. He has 2 less losses. Same goals against. And he has a worse save percentage than both of the Wild's tendies. If I had to pick one side of this, it's so tough. I mean, Ottinger's from Lakeville. Like, he's a Minnesota kid. It's hard not to root for him. Out of all these 3, even with the less save percentage, I would say Ottinger is the top of the podium. And I know I mentioned the depth here, but for goalies, it's not so much about the depth. It's about who can steal the series when a team really needs it. And I think Otter can do that. So I'm going to give the slight edge to the Stars here. So I think it's 6-2 now in total points. Let's get to the X Factors. All right, for X Factors, start with the Wild. We have Quinn Hughes. This trade really changed everything for the team. Kind of came out of nowhere. Billy G really sacked up and went all in. Traded his number 1 prospect in Zeev Buium, as well as Marco Rossi and Liam Ogren and some picks. To me, Quinn is tied for best defenseman in the NHL. It's really 1A with him and Makar. He's so dynamic. His skating's unreal. I mean, he just set the points record for a Minnesota defenseman. In 47 games, I think it was. He reached 52 points, which was held by Ryan Suter and Brock Faber. I think Faber did it last year. But yeah, if you're breaking records in half the season with a franchise, you're pretty good. Hasn't really had the goal scoring touch this year as much as he had in the past. He did score last night. And if he starts putting more on the net for the playoffs, it's really going to be the cherry on top. I mean, he's going to get points. It's just a matter of whether or not it's goals included. And then we got Kirill. The reason Quinn's here and Kirill's here is, for me, just really because Kirill's been the best player on this team for many years now. And he has yet to carry them out of the first round, which isn't all on him. But there has been times where he's kind of faded away in the playoffs. He's been better with that the last couple years. But yeah, if the Wild want to break their first round curse and move on, they're really going to need the best out of Kirill, which I believe he'll bring. It's just really a must-have. And then Boldy, like I said before, he's having a career year. He has 42 goals. Just a great 200-foot player. He tries everywhere. He defends. Everyone's focused on Kirill and Quinn, but Boldy will stick a knife in you if you're not paying attention. And then the power play. They're 25.5% on the year, which is 3rd in the league. It's excellent. I mean, you got Boldy, Kirill, Quinn, Zook, and then Eriksson in front of the net. It's really pick your poison. 5-headed dragon there. And then health. This is the healthiest they've been all season. Bogosian's injured, but he's day-to-day, and if for some reason he's not back, they can live without him. And then moving on to the Stars, Mikko Rantanen. He's their best player. He's their Quinn Hughes. He's who they went all in for on last year with that huge trade with Carolina. He single-handedly won last year's playoffs versus the Avalanche on a little revenge tour. He has a cup. He knows what it takes. He's really their 1A. And then their 1B with Robertson, just a true goal scorer. He's got a little chip on his shoulder this series for sure, as Billy G was the one who left him off Team USA. Didn't get a gold medal. I personally think he should have been on the team, but Billy G obviously knew what he was doing since they won. But I'm looking for him to have a huge series. And then the crowd. Not to throw any shade on Grand Casino. It's a great atmosphere. But Minnesota, you kind of have that Minnesota sports nervousness feeling of kind of when is it going to go wrong? Or if it is going wrong, the volume can lower and not be as much of a factor since they've just been disappointed too many times. But yeah, the Stars barn is absolutely electric. I mean, I do hate their little Dallas Stars, but I can't throw too much hate because it gets rocking in there. And then moving on, as I talked about in the last segment, playoff Ottinger can be an absolute wall. Minnesota's really hoping he doesn't turn into that again. Feels like he does it every year. Just turns on another gear. He can single-handedly win them the series. I was mentioning the mismatch in the lines before. It won't really matter if he's at the top of his game. And then the experience for the Stars. They have 3 straight Western Conference final appearances. Against the Wild, they're 8-4 in the playoffs, so they have the huge upper hand there. Guys like Rantanen, who's won a cup, Ben, who's been here over and over. They haven't been able to get to the summit yet with the Stanley Cup, but they definitely know what it takes to move on, especially in the first couple rounds. Minnesota lacks that. But on the flip side, for the Stars, they lack health. Heiskanen's out from last night's injury. Hintz has been out. He's week to week. Sagan's out for the year and the playoffs. The best ability is availability, and they don't have that right now. We'll get updates on that more in the coming days. But yeah, I mean, just looking at all this, it's going to be such a fun series to watch. But yeah, let's get to who's winning this thing. All right, this looks kind of crappy, but it's all I had. So, for my decision, winning this series and moving on to the second round. It's a tough decision. A lot of great players in this series. A lot of things go into it. But when it came down to it, it was really a gut feeling. So, without further ado, winning in 6 games and moving on to most likely face the Avalanche is the Minnesota Wild. Now I know, no. I'm from Minnesota, so it might be slightly biased. But with the injuries the Stars have, the depth the Wild have, I really think this is their year. With the moves Billy G's made, Quinn was the biggest factor in my decision, honestly. They just haven't had that type of presence on the blue line in years past. He just makes the team so much more dynamic. As of now, I believe the betting odds are -140 for the Stars. That might have changed, especially with the Heiskanen injury. Both these teams have star power, but the Wild have more depth. That's really a huge part, and they're healthy. As I mentioned before, Dallas has had Minnesota's number in the playoffs, but I really think this is their year. I think the first round curse is lifted, and the Wild get it done.